Recently, I was asked to do some design at a new wellness clinic that's opening. I did my first walkthrough in the clinic with the client. We selected colors and made some plans. She wanted to do some feature walls. The clinic will be offering different wellness services. One of the interesting things is a vitamin drip. It can be sort of a boutique kind of fun thing that people do together. The clinic will also feature men's health and medical weight loss. The name of the clinic is 360 Wellness. One of the first jobs was to paint the countertops, both in the kitchen area and also the front counter. So I got started on the feature walls right away, and this one was really fun. And this one is kind of a flower wall. All these were inspired by wallpaper. I used Iron Orchid Designs stamps. I used the peony stamp, the chrysanthemum stamp, and also did some hand painting. I sort of did a little bit of a map before I approached the entire wall just to see where everything was going to be placed. After I finished, I thought that the gold stems were a little too broad, so I used the dark background and narrowed them down. The next wall featured another Iron Orchid Design stamp. This one is the Cubano tile stamp. This one was very repetitious, and the color I'm using and the paints that I used on the walls is from Dixie Belle's Silk line. This color is called Nautical, and it was the background for the first feature wall. A lot of gold is also being featured here, but this wall was pretty simple. These were just 12 by 12 tiles and just a lot of lather, rinse, and repeat. This design looks so much better in person than it does on film. The next wall, again inspired by wallpaper, featured some IOD stamps. This one is the fern from the Franz collection. And then I used some stencils from folk art. And then I also cut my own stencil because the leaves weren't big enough for the largest leaf that I wanted to show. This one I didn't map out. I just kind of started doing random patterns that were sort of repetitious but not exact. And then this is the largest stencil that I cut, and I used a big brush. And this color is also matching some furniture that'll be in the room. And the client and I selected colors together that were just kind of complementary to each other, and they were all used throughout all the rooms so that it has a very cohesive appearance. The next one kind of made me a little crazy while I was doing it because it featured a lot of tape. So I had to measure the center and then measure how wide each thing was going to be. I did use a little roller, just held it in my hand after I got everything taped up and just kept making those marks. And it just made a cool design in the chevron pattern, and that was it for that wall. The next wall definitely has a story behind it. It was inspired by wallpaper. It reminded me of tie-dye, but it reminded the client of the coronal slice of the brain, or a brain scan, essentially. So I made a two-part stencil. First, I put it in my PixArt app on my phone. I actually just Googled an image of the coronal slice of the brain, which actually was in pink. And then I put it in the PixArt app and just kind of manipulated the design by chopping it up and rotating it and then changing the color. And then there were two samples that were done, one a little bit larger, and this is the one that the client chose. So the stencil is a two-part stencil. So first I sent it to Staples and had it printed out in a poster, and then I used Mylar and cut the stencil by just holding it over the page. So I did two so that I'd have two colors. And in retrospect, I would have made the stencil a little bit bigger. It would have made my work a little easier. And it's not all glamorous. Sometimes you have to sit on a toilet seat to do your work. I had to do a little bit at a time because the stencil wasn't that big. So I love doing it though, and I think that's the favorite wall. This wall was a lot of fun too, and it'll be the first one that you see. It's also going to have a lit sign with the client's logo, which is 360 Wellness, and it'll hide the cord as well. So also was a desk in there that kind of fit and nestled under the counter. I used an old piano lid and the old wood bled through, so I had to redo it after I put a coat of Boss on it. Boss is a stain blocking primer, so I had to cover it all and then redo the marbling. So here's the feature walls finished, and pretty pleased with them. It looks really cool when you walk through the space. I also did a custom piece from an old secretary insert that will roll underneath the counterparts for extra storage. Stay tuned for a follow-up video for the completed space. I'm so excited to see it all come together. Thank you so much for watching today. If you like this video, how about giving it a thumbs up and also share it with your friends? If you haven't subscribed, you'll want to do that so you don't miss anything. Visit us at LaVintageDecor.company, and on Instagram we're LaVintageDecor, and on Facebook we're LaVintageDecor Altoona. Stay well.